Welcome everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is the MSV podcast. Here we talk about crypto. My name is Sabi, I am your host today. Let's start. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the MSV podcast. Today we will talk about the future of crypto wallet addresses, namely about crypto domains. Please welcome my guest today, Brad Kemp from Unstoppable Domains. Hi Brad, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. I prepared a lot of questions, but as usual, let's start with some introductions. Could you please give us a brief background about yourself and about the company?
For sure. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm from Atlanta. Started a bunch of companies going back to college days. Moved out to San Francisco in 2012 to work on a software startup called Talkable. Had nothing to do with crypto, enterprise SaaS company, but I was fortunate. I moved into this hacker house called 20 Mission, where about 40 people shared one set of bathrooms and one kitchen, right in the Mission District in San Francisco. And it was an early crypto hub. There was a bunch of Bitcoin meetups there starting in 2012. Bitcoin exchange was launched in the basement. There was a Bitcoin media channel in the basement starting in 2013. So everybody I met when I moved to San Francisco was into Bitcoin. And I started following the space, started buying, was working on my startup, and then on the weekends and at nights was reading about crypto. Fast forward to 2017, a good friend of mine, Matt Gould, came up with this idea of putting identity on the blockchain and wanted to start a company around it. That was Unstoppable Domains. So I was actually the first investor. That was January of 2018. And then I stepped back to the board of my previous company and joined full-time a few months later.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah, crypto community was even weirder back then, but it was tiny. So it was really just enthusiasts. There wasn't anybody who was like making a lot of money yet. So you basically had to be there for the philosophy at that point. But Unstoppable was founded in January of 2018 with this idea that users should own their identity, and they don't on the internet today. And the reason why this became possible is NFTs. So you have what we call a Web3 domain name, which is like your identity in Web3, is an NFT, and it's stored inside of your wallet. And this key idea is like the foundation for an internet that is user controlled, where I control my data, where I control my reputation, where I can get up and leave apps without having to lose my data, without having it be sold to random people, without having to rely on the security of companies like Twitter, et cetera. So that was the promise. And what the company's built are a system to mint these Web3 domain names, and then a bunch of tools so you can use them in all these different ways. One of the ways you use them is you can send crypto. So for example, you could send me Bitcoin or ETH or any other cryptocurrency to brad.crypto. You can also check out my website at brad.crypto, stored on IPFS. I can also log into several hundred dApps and share my user-owned profile with them. I can share verified information about myself. And this is where we think this is going is you're going to have this domain name, which is going to be your username. And then you're going to have this digital profile, which is all of your data, and you're going to carry it around on the internet. And with just a click and sign a message with your wallet, you're logged in. Your whole history is there, whatever you need. So it's going to make it easy to use apps. It's going to make it secure. You're going to know that you're not dealing with a bot. You're going to be able to know certain attributes about strangers without having to trust them. I think this is a much better internet.
Very interesting. One thing which comes to my mind is, for example, the KIC, because with a domain name, which is actually it's your data, right, and your background, your history, then it simplifies a lot of things. I would think, because you can just log in with your domain name into any, let's say, private funding, public funding, wherever you need to provide some or want to join these kind of project startups, and you can just give them your domain and they can decide whether they accept or not your contribution.
Yeah, the beauty of all of this is that it's user controlled. So I decide what information gets tied to my domain. If I want to share my KYC information because I want to sign up for an exchange or a financial service, I could share all of it if that's the requirement, or I could share just a proof of it without actually having to expose the underlying data, or I could just share that I'm a unique person tied to this wallet. So you can give me a reward based on that. Like right now in crypto, you never know if you have 1,000 users or if you have 10,000 users for your app. And so it's very difficult to try to incentivize your new users. And in Web 2, that's what everybody does. Like e-commerce companies, that's all they talk about. How do we incentivize our new users? How do we give them offers? How do we give them free products, whatever? And all of that stuff doesn't really happen in crypto because you don't know whether or not a wallet address represents a person or not. So I think that's a superpower of this tech. And it doesn't mean that you have to expose who you are if you don't want to. You're in control.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, I can see that this is a multi-layer information, let's say. And regarding the bots, and whether they are real persons or real people behind certain names or accounts. For example, now projects are monitoring it like activity on Discord servers or Telegram servers, because you can have tens of thousands of followers, but if there is no activity in the groups, then you can probably you can suspect that lots of bots are there. Now, speaking already about communities, and it is very interesting with the data protection and your own data, because I think similar projects or initiatives are coming up. For example, in the gaming industry, this is a very big direction, let's say, when everybody has their stats to their name. And I think this is just the start. Do you think other industries will also adapt? Because that is the big question, right? Something new will be created, something which is it's still in testing phase, let's say, but can the benefits be shown and proved to, let's say Web2 industries in order to optimize the operations and the processes? I'm thinking about, for example, healthcare or traffic, something like this. How do you see this in the future?
Yeah, well, so I think that if you're talking about today, 2022, I think there's around 400,000 unique people that have purchased domains so far. We've been live since January of 2019. It's around 500 apps that support this system for identity, crypto wallets, crypto exchanges, dApps, all crypto native users, crypto native apps. And part of the reason why is because they're already on a regular basis reading smart contract data. And so it's normal for them to just read a new type of data that's identity related. And then two, they have wallet functionality already built in. And this is kind of a critical thing for our tech to work, because you need to be able to sign with the key that controls the domain name in order to prove that you own the domain name as part of the app experience. So you either need like a Connect wallet, or you need to have like some other sort of wallet functionality. So that's been the limiting factor. What's happening is pretty much every Web 2 company, we believe, is going to support some type of wallet functionality over time. We're already seeing this in two big areas. One are the consumer fintechs. So PayPal, Venmo, SoFi, Robinhood, all these companies building out crypto wallets, and a lot of them actually building out self-custody type crypto wallet functionality, not just buy and sell, but actually being able to use crypto. So that's happening. So consumer fintechs, they now have the necessary thing in order to be able to adopt this tech, and that is wallet functionality. And the other really big category are social media apps. And so social media apps are going like all in right now on, so there's been Instagram, Twitter has had Connect Wallet for quite a while. And then Reddit did this pretty unbelievable thing where they gave out, they essentially distributed wallets, which they called vaults, very clever. And then they started selling avatars. I think they sold 3 million. So they're like actually one of the leading NFT sellers as of last week or the week before. So they're now, all of those Web2 social media companies now also have a way to give users access to this tech. Now, like, where is it going to go first in terms of Web2, I think is a little bit of a question. I think that a lot of these Web2 companies have gotten accustomed to controlling the identity piece and kind of keeping users inside their ecosystem. And so the question really is, can they out open source us? us, the crypto community at large. Like, can they actually adopt the open source ethos that exists in crypto enough that they can actually compete with us? And I think it's going to be tough for them in some cases. So I think that's the innovator's dilemma, is that they made all of this money off of keeping all of this stuff inside of their app. So then can they actually open up and go after the even bigger market, which is every user, regardless of whether or not they're using Twitter app or whether or not they're using whatever the other Web2 social media app is. So I think that's an open question. I mean, I think that it's better for the industry if they try to compete, because that'll make us better. And what Reddit did in terms of selling NFTs, I think is a great example. I think that was a really smart strategy of, they sold, like, you could have up to like 1 million of a certain type of NFT. And in crypto land, it's a maximum 9,000 for your collection. So like, it only goes to this elite little group. And they were like, well, why can't it be for everybody? And like, that seems pretty obvious to me, that there's going to be a lot more of those 3 million, whatever, 10 million size collections in the future than these 8,000. So I think that there's a myopic view sometimes in crypto community. And some of these companies that are just really good at shipping products, they might out innovate crypto in some areas. This is not what I would have thought a year ago. I would have thought that crypto companies would be running circles around the Web2 social media companies, but I think that they're actually coming faster and harder. So yeah, it's kind of an open question, but I do think that they will adopt the tech, and they're going to struggle to open up to the level that's necessary.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. I think what I understood from what you said, that there is also necessary an open mindset, and maybe in some areas there will be more difficult to change this mindset and adapt, let's say. And I just want to mention here what you just said, about the numbers of the NFTs sold, because I think we can say last year we had the NFT boom, and it was all about collectibles, the small numbers. And it is very interesting to say how NFTs in this short period of time are transforming, and it happens exactly as we talked about, that the utility will probably overcome maybe I don't want to say art, because I think that will be a very important part, but the utility will be very, very, very layered, and a lot of things will be added to the NFTs, and they will be used for a lot of things. I saw on your website, and I just want to say here that I have a YouTube channel, a small YouTube channel. I also created a domain for it. And it is very interesting to see how I can just add the wallets. I was thinking that, as searching through different domain, out of curiosity, what domains you have, and what names are, let's say, protected or maybe reserved. I could see that the bigger brands, the bigger names are reserved for certain companies, right? Do you have bigger names which you can share with us who already claimed a domain for them? And my second question, I'm thinking that this domain claim maybe will be accelerated when the cryptocurrency, or the payment with cryptocurrency, becomes more and more mainstream. Do you see these two related to each other?
Yeah. So on the brands, there are a bunch of Fortune 1000 companies that have claimed their domains. They've been claiming actually for several years now, although it has picked up a lot in the past year. We're not able to name any names, but there are some, that have been, registered and claimed to wallets on the blockchain. So there are ways to discover some of those. In terms of like how it ties to crypto payments, I think that crypto payments is a necessary feature, but I think that so it does tie, and I also agree that crypto payments are not being widely used yet for payments. So that there is a big market that has not really been tackled yet. What we believe is that from a frequency perspective, you're probably going to be logging in more times than you're paying. And so if you look at like Web2 user behavior, I think it's like, a couple of dozen logins per day, maybe like, 1 to 4 payments per day on average, something like that. So from a usage perspective, login is something you're going to do more frequently. So that's also part of the reason why we're just leaning in more towards that use case now, because we see that that's the thing that is the most useful for crypto folks today. even, once this just totally takes over Web 2 auth and Web 2 payment systems, I still think you'll be logging in probably 10 times more frequently than you will be paying, just because of user behavior. Although maybe crypto payments will make that number go up because it's just so easy to pay people. So maybe if it's 1 to 4 today, maybe it's going to be several more. But that'll also happen with login, because login will also be easier. I could just connect into a new stock exchange with 2 buttons or whatever and start trading. No complicated approvals. So I think that all of these things are going to accelerate in this environment. But log in more frequently. Payments are critical.
Okay, thank you very much. Regarding the community and the domain used versus domain sold, how do you see, if you can share us with in the statistics, how many domains are in use, like regularly, and how many are, let's say, on hold, or maybe they are just reserved?
I think it's around, so there's around 400,000 users. I think there's around 9%. The number of active domains was somewhere, the last time I looked, was somewhere around 30 to 40,000, like on a monthly active basis, based on features. What we tend to find is, I think that the average number of domains, so there's 2.7 million domains registered in total. I think the average number of domains registered per person is right around 7. And so a common user behavior with traditional domain names and with Web3 domains is that you have a collection, that you have some sort of there's a high cost to waiting with domain names in general. So people's behavior is to preemptively register and then use it later. And I do this with .com domains as well. The difference here is because it's a one-time fee, your collection only grows. So if you have an idea and you don't wind up using it for a few years, it just you have it. So your collection never gets trimmed; it always goes up. I think that's actually a good thing. But yeah, those are typical numbers. So like if you have 7, there's really not a we're not seeing people use more than one that frequently. I think that the end state of this market, people probably will have more like, maybe 3-ish. Maybe you're gonna have a professional one, maybe you're gonna have a personal one, maybe you're gonna have a pseudo-anonymous one, something like that. I think we can imagine that as being a likely future, just based on how we see people use social media networks. But I don't think you're going to have 30 and manage 30 identities at once. I think that would be a little bit unwieldy. So not 1, not 10, maybe 3 to 5.
Yeah, I think I agree. Because I was just thinking, you just mentioned the .com, the DNS back in the time, because back in the time, many people, let's say, reserved some domain names. And since then, we can check on the internet that some domain names went for millions of dollars. And those people who claimed before, well, they made a huge profit. And I think I can see something like this, let's say, forming or taking shape with these domains as well, because I have to be honest, I also claimed, I think, 2 or 3 domains, and this might be so for future, if I will have, or I have an idea for a company or for a project, and I will use it for myself. So very interesting. And yes, I can see maybe history repeating itself with the new technology. Enough about me. Since you launched the domains, how do you see the onboarding of the community? Do you see an exponential growth, a linear one, or there are like cycles and waves when people just come and reserve some domains?
I think in general, crypto has these pretty intense cycles. We launched in 2019, which was the middle of the bear market. So I think ETH was like $140 or something like that when we launched. And so there was not a lot going on. So we went from 0 to like a 20 or 30,000 person community in that first year, I believe. So that felt like super fast growth, but in the context of the larger crypto market, that was quite tiny. 2020 a little bit more. 2021, the NFT market exploded, the crypto market exploded. We saw really, really rapid growth that year. We have still seen user growth this year, although it has slowed down. But when we look at most other markets, there's user loss, like the number of users going down. That's not happening with Web3 domains. Web3 domains are actually having quite I think overperforming the crypto markets and overperforming the NFT market. right now in 2022, and that was a surprise to me. But I think part of the reason why is something you alluded to before, which is this kind of flight to things that people think are going to be less like a fad and more like a utility. So I think like during the really big bull market, fads look cooler, like, everything's about monkey pictures and all that other sort of stuff, because it's working. And then I think when things cool off, people start to refocus on the things that they think are going to last and make it for a while. And I think we saw the same thing in the last bear market. So yeah, long answer. I think that bear markets are good, and the correction is also good, and the stuff that has utility can actually kind of break through easier in that environment than maybe otherwise.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and it's very interesting how people work, with the, as you mentioned, with the monkeys and the very extravagant and interesting designs, that is how you introduce something new to the people. People just jump on it, and then they start to learn, because after they put money in it, they want to know what is it about and how they can use it in the future. And yes, I can also see this with the NFTs. Now I can see central banks, official institutions are testing and creating, and they can see that they can use it, and it is beneficial in order to optimize, I don't know, staying in a queue, for example, which is a very simple thing, but takes a lot of time from our life. So yeah, very good. Okay, let's see about, are you planning to have new extensions? I saw that you have .crypto, .wallet. Are you also looking into or towards other directions, other industries, and are you planning to implement different type of extensions? Maybe, I don't know, as with NFTs, something controversial but interesting and catchy, or to a more serious way?
So I think that we did a big release in 2021. There's no immediate plans to do more of those general TLDs. I think that the thing that we do think is going to start happening is that brands are going to start having more of their own. And so I think that's an area where I think the namespace might expand sooner than other areas. And the idea for them is similar to like what happened with email, where like you had Gmail and AOL that was like baked into the name, and that allows them, like, essentially like your Gmail address works inside of the AOL app. It's interoperable, similar to how crypto networks are interoperable, and so your brand is everywhere. And I think this kind of brands trying to do this, I think you're going to start to see more of that. We already saw a pretty big entrant into this space, which is Twitter is going to try to do some sort of username handle using .com domains. This is something that they just recently announced. And so we're starting to see this happen, where traditional companies are trying to figure out how to make Web3 based usernames. Now, we don't think it's going to work with .com domains quite the same way. There's all kinds of issues with security for .com domains, and they're just not built for it. So we don't think that's the best tech. We think the best tech are NFTs. Like, there's no reason to attach an old separate database to a blockchain, because a blockchain is already a database of the future. So it's kind of like hooking up your fax machine to email or something like that. Yeah, it might be useful for some folks, but it's not really getting you to the user experience that you were hoping for, the purely digital one. So but yeah, it's getting pretty exciting out there.
Yeah, and I just want to add that YouTube is also doing almost the same as Twitter, because they just introduced the handle for the channel. So I don't know where they are going, but I'm suspecting that they are taking the same direction as Twitter.
So all of a sudden, right? And like we've been talking about Web3 based identity for almost 5 years now, and all of a sudden, all of these companies are trying to figure out a way to do interoperable identity. I think that's what Google's, I don't think, has any kind of crypto component, but they're trying to do some sort of global username thing. So I think it's very validating. And again, they're going to have to give up their data monopolies if they actually want to go after the big market here. So Google, you ready to do that? Are you ready to actually turn the keys over to the user? That'd be pretty exciting. But I think that's the reason why there's an opportunity for crypto native companies, because it's not purely a philosophical thing. It's their business model. Like their business model is they're making money off of data. So they actually have to decide, like, I'm going to burn up this giant pile of money in order to go after what I believe in the future, and what these crazy crypto people are saying is going to be in the future the bigger market. So that's our advantage. But it's very validating.
Yes, it is. And I just want to add here that I had another guest, and we were also talking about the data protection, about the big tech, the big companies, Facebook, Google, and how they are keeping the information. And what I said then is that I just have this feeling, that they are just waiting and watching, and waiting and watching. And they are just kind of monitoring, they don't admit it, you cannot see anything on Cointelegraph or any newspaper or website, but they are watching and monitoring very vigilant, let's say. And whenever they think that, okay, this is the point where adoption or onboarding is visible, and if we will have another big wave, when another, I don't know, billion people just come into the space, we will be too late already. So we need to act now. I mean, and this might be the point. Maybe now they decided that, okay, we don't want to wait another bull run and another big adoption for something else, and we will just be left behind. I don't know. Did I understand correctly what you said? I think we had an agreement here.
I think that's it. I think that I think they're building in bear markets. Like the big tech companies are building crypto products in a bear market. They do not care that the market has calmed down. And I think that's a very big sign. And it's really all of them that are doing something around crypto wallet tech and around identity. So it's pretty unbelievable. I would not have expected that even a year ago.
Yeah, neither did I. Okay, last question I have. What is the next step for Unstoppable Domains? The next big step, let's say, which may come this year or next year, but it will be like a milestone in the project's life, and new horizon will be visible, let's say.
We are building our system as more of a platform. I'd say rebuilding a lot of our system as more of a platform. And what that's going to look like is there's about to be third parties that are able to sell domains, register domains, offer those features, add in new types of like identity verifications. A big piece of your digital profile is that you're just verifying all different types of information about yourself. And third parties are going to be able to add data types to this. So if you're an app and you say, like, I want to use, a DGen score as a way to identify and filter my users, you can add that into Unstoppable's identity standard. So platformization is a really big focus for us, because there's just so much cool stuff, information out there in crypto land, and we just need to make it easier for people to attach it to their domains and then get domains into the hands of more people. It's already working. So if you start to see Unstoppable features popping up all over the place, that's a sign that we succeeded there.
I will drop you a message then. Okay, thank you very much. Well, I don't have any more questions. I really enjoyed this chat. Thank you very much for taking the time. I hope that we can do this again sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Everyone, you can find all the links to Unstoppable Domains in the description of this podcast. And see you next time.